Hey guys, I am Tina, a 28-year-old woman. I'm here to share my story about how my husband and in-laws were served what they deserved. This happened a few months back, and the entire fiasco just died down recently. I'm still reeling from the emotional trauma, and thought sharing my story would help. 2 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I married my then-boyfriend, Jake. Jake and I met through mutual friends and had been together for 3 years. He seemed to be a very fun and caring person who loved me to bits. He came from a wealthy family and also had a high-paying job. We immediately clicked due to our love for traveling, and soon we were seriously dating. All my friends thought he was a great guy and were genuinely happy about us. The relationship itself was super smooth. He was extremely caring and often gave me gifts to cheer me up on bad days. He even got me a new laptop on the day I graduated college. We often planned trips, and he insisted on paying for most of our expenses. Initially, I was extremely uncomfortable with Jake paying for me. Jake, you know I'm just a college student. I don't have much money to gift you good things. At least let us split the other expenses. There's no need for splitting everything, Tina. You know I love you and I like to splurge on my girlfriend. Most of my friends pay for their girlfriends, so it's not a big deal. You need to loosen up a bit. Although Jake paid for a lot of our dates, I was still mindful of getting him gifts and taking him out on dates. They weren't as fancy as his gifts, but they were all I could afford back then. When I graduated college, I landed a very good job with great pay. I was super excited that I could finally pamper Jake with gifts and fancy dates. We even began splitting expenses evenly and were deciding to move in together. You can just move in with me, you know. I have a house which was my inheritance from Grandpa. You won't even have to pay rent since it's already fully paid for. If you insist, then it's fine. However, for everything else, we will split the expenses evenly. I don't earn as much as you, but it would be unfair if you pay more. You really don't have to, you know. I want to take care of you, but if you feel like splitting everything, I don't mind it that much. Everything was going pretty well until I finally met his family. His family actually lives in a different state that is pretty far away. Jake was stuck here because of his work. Before meeting his parents, Jake told me that they can be a little judgmental at times. When I asked him what he meant, he didn't give me a straight answer. Jake just told me to play along with him and ignore them if they say anything mean. While I was not too thrilled with this disclaimer, I tried to keep a positive mind. Every bit of positivity vanished when I finally met them. His parents and his sister were the ones who flew to meet us. Jake went to the airport to pick them up. I don't know what happened on the way, but when they arrived, they looked pretty annoyed. We sat down together and started to have a chat. I soon realized that they did not like me at all. Sandra and Dave, Jake's parents, said, "So you are the woman Jake has been seeing. I definitely did not expect to see you in this house. Do you even pay rent?" "No, Sandra. I don't pay rent here. Jake told me that the house is already fully paid for, so I didn't need to pay rent, but we split all the bills evenly. Just because the house is paid for does not mean you can mooch off of him. This is his house and not yours. I hope you understand that and remember it for the rest of your life." I immediately felt weirded out by the conversation. Cassie didn't even try to talk to me. Instead, she kept glaring at me the entire time. When I asked Cassie about her life, she irritably said that she was married to a rich billionaire back home. I tried to include her in our conversation, but she just waved us off the entire time. Jake did nothing to help me out. He just laughed with his parents and went along with their thoughts. Dave and Sandra both criticized me a lot during their stay. They thought I spent too much money on makeup and skincare. They said that I shouldn't buy nice things when I wasn't contributing enough to the household. They thought my stuff was coming out of Jake's pockets. I tried to reassure them about everything, but they didn't seem to believe me. It didn't help that Jake constantly said things against me, even when it wasn't true. He said, "You know, Tina was a struggling student when we met, so I had to pay for everything. She has a job now, but it's not enough to fund her luxury lifestyle. Jake, we split our bills, remember? I'd buy my stuff. I'm confused. Why are you saying these things? I lived a simple life before and even after we started a relationship. I don't have any interest in luxury goods or brands. The only luxury products I have were gifted by you. Even then, I used to scold him for spending so much money. He simply said that a man of his status should always give expensive gifts. Now I realize it was done so that he can gloat to his friends about how much he had spent on me. When they left, I already had a bad taste in my mouth. I did ask Jake about what happened. He just shrugged it off and tried to play it down altogether. You're thinking too much, Tina. You should just take their words lightheartedly. They meant well. What they said was disrespect for you, Jake. I already feel bad for taking gifts from you in college. I'm trying to put in the same effort now. Relax, you're overreacting. They don't know everything, so let it be. 6 months went by, and Jake proposed to me. I was super happy because I genuinely loved him with all my heart. We planned an engagement party, which again was split evenly. I was working on my small business on the side, which prospered in under a year. Jake knew about this and was happy for me. He never asked how much I made, so I never told him. To him, it was a small hobby that didn't bring in much money, if at all. However, I decided that it was time I started treating myself a little. That is why I decided on a big engagement party. Jake also went along with it just fine. We split all the expenses equally because it was an expensive party. I wanted Jake to meet my extended family, so I also paid for their plane ticket so that they could come. On the day of the engagement party, they said, "You know, Tina, you shouldn't have splurged so much at this party. You're already draining Jake's account before you're even married. At this rate, you'll be out of money and have to settle for a backyard wedding. I thought you were financially irresponsible. Turns out it's worse than I thought." Yeah, I told her the party was over the top. It was so unnecessary to have your family flying from other states. I can't believe how much this party cost. I can already feel my wallet getting lighter. What are you talking about? We mutually agreed to this party. I paid for my share of the party as well. It was your idea to include everyone so that we can meet them as a couple. You know, Tina, you insisted so much I couldn't say no. I usually don't mind spending, but Jesus, this party cost us a lot. So, you have already started to manipulate my boy into paying money. Jake is so sweet. He just can't say no to you. You should have fought better. I can see I was right about what kind of girl you are. That's very disrespectful, Sandra. I didn't extort money out of your son. Having a big party was actually his idea first. We had countless discussions before we put down the money. I was so shocked by his behavior that I'd excuse myself and took a breather. I went out to the lawn of the venue only to find Cassie and her husband Jim laughing about me there. They didn't even stop when they noticed me. I felt that my engagement party was ruined. Jake was having a blast while I had to deal with his family's judgments. Most of his extended family didn't even know that I work. They thought I was a jobless fiancé who is dependent on Jake. My mom then came over when she noticed how sad I was. Mom is extremely protective of me. She raised me as a single parent and knows how hard it is to manage finances. Another thing about my mom is that she doesn't take disrespect, even when it's directed towards her child. She told me, "Tina, I think you should really rethink the engagement. I have been hearing your in-laws' mean comments the entire party. You can't let them hurt you like that. I don't know why they are doing this. Even Jake is going along with their horrible notions about me. You need to sit down and have a talk with Jake. It's time for you to have a serious conversation with him." After the party was over, I did take up my concerns with Jake. He simply made it seem like he was joking around. Jake also told me that he loves me and doesn't care if I break the bank, but I was paying for everything else except rent. I reiterated my wish to pay some rent, but he brushed me off again. The wedding planning was equally stressful. His parents kept criticizing my choices and said, "Tina, you're spending way too much money. You need to stop bankrupting my son. He is not your cash cow. That's a horrible thing to say, Sandra. We are both paying for the wedding, along with my mom. You are not contributing anything. So, robbing my son was not enough for you? Did you expect us to empty the bank account for you as well? I'm not asking for money, Dave. I'm simply telling you that we can pay for this wedding just fine. On the day of the wedding, Cassie also kept commenting on how I overspent on my dress and makeup. I told her that my mom paid for these things, but she didn't listen. The ceremony went well, but during the reception, Sandra and Dave kept bringing up how I spent too much money and bled their son dry. I didn't want them to spoil my wedding like they did with the engagements, so I kept quiet. Things were suspiciously calm after the wedding, however. That would soon change for me and his family. After a few months, Jake received a big promotion at work. He was looking forward to the promotion and wanted to celebrate it with family. Jake insisted on a big dinner party to which both sides of our family were invited. I was super happy for him and said, "I want this dinner to be extra special, Jake. I'm extremely proud of you and want to give you a little treat. I have decided that I will pay for the dinner party completely." "Seriously, but where will you get so much money?" "Don't worry, Jake. My business is doing well and I have a salary for my job. Plus, I finally gained access to a trust fund from my paternal grandfather." Jake was extremely happy about my decision and the fact that the party was on me. I even planned the entire thing so you didn't have to do anything. I booked a large venue and got the best caterers for the food. Everyone was impressed by what I had arranged. The ambiance was happy and cheerful. However, that was before his family arrived. They looked at the preparations and were not happy about it. I didn't understand what was wrong since everyone else said it was perfect. It soon became clear what their problem was. During the speeches, Sandra stood up and loudly said, "I thank everyone for gathering here to celebrate my son. As you all know, he's an incredibly hard-working man and also very generous. He deserves this promotion completely. However, his luck just ended there. It is sad that out of all people he was shackled down by a gold digger. I wish he had the foresight to see what his wife is. Then he wouldn't have to work so hard to find her a luxury life." Yeah, I'm sure it's now clear to everyone that his wife is a big spender. From the engagement party to this dinner, she pretty much emptied his accounts. I feel sorry for my poor boy. I'm glad he made Tina sign the prenup before the wedding. That way, at least some of his assets would be saved. Seriously, the way my wife spends, you'd think we would be on the streets by now. Thankfully, I can earn enough to keep a trophy wife. It's a shame I can't spend money on myself since there is none left for me. Jake, you really did mess up by marrying her. Jim would never have accepted a gold digger like that. I take good care of my finances because I don't want my husband to be homeless. People don't care as long as they can buy expensive things. What are you saying? Do you guys think I am a gold digger? I mean, it must be clear to everyone by now. You know your lifestyle is quite damaging to my bank account. I would have divorced her sooner, man. Your one patient husband. Watch out before you land on the streets. That's enough, Jake. Why are you saying these things? You don't pay for my lifestyle, I do. I pay for the entire party by myself. You don't even give me gifts anymore. Oh my God, bro. This one is a gold digger and a liar as well. Everyone just kept laughing at what they said. At this point, I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I held my head high and said, "Since I am such a gold digger to you, let me just show you my bank balance. I guess that will clear things up for you." I then showed everyone my bank balance. No way. You have to be lying. Did you steal my son's money, Jake? Just look at this. She must have stolen from you. I don't need to steal money from your son. This is all my blood and sweat. Also, I recently got access to my trust fund. It was left to me by my grandfather. I was going to get a bigger house with it and surprise Jake. I guess that won't be happening anymore. What do you mean? We can still buy the house. It'll be a lovely gift. After watching you join your family and calling me names, this is not happening. Your family has been insulting me for too long. You never once stood up for me. Instead, You made up these lies about how I'm using your money. Listen, you're overreacting. No, I am not overreacting. All the people here know what your family has been calling me. They were here when you let them insult me during our engagement party. I will no longer tolerate this disrespect from you. I want a divorce. No, Tina. Just listen to me. Jake, I would suggest you keep your mouth shut. You never defended my girl these years. You were even cruel enough to join in with your family. Anything you say at this point will be laughable. It's time she ends the toxic relationship for good. With that, we left the party. All the invitees were shocked and were whispering to each other. I realized that I had exposed him to his extended family, friends, and work colleagues. However, I didn't care anymore. I was done with him. All these years of crime because of their insults got to me. I couldn't live with him anymore. I deserve someone who respects me. Mom and I went straight to the house and collected my belongings. Jake kept blowing up my phone to try and talk to me. I simply muted it and kept going. I went to stay with my mother. When I made it home, I broke down as I started to realize what had happened. Even after giving me so much love, my marriage ended. But I wasn't going to look back. The next day, I got in touch with my cousin, who is a lawyer. He was at the party, so he already saw it coming. I asked him to draw up divorce papers. Since we have a prenuptial, the split would be easy. I won't even have to give him money, even though I have a lot more than him now. Jake kept trying to contact me throughout the day. He and his family even showed up at my mom's place and said, "I need to talk to Tina. She can't leave me like this. Let me talk to her. You need to get off my property. She doesn't want to talk to you, let alone see your face. She has to talk to me. We won't leave until she comes out to talk. This is not over. Jake, go back. We are not having this discussion. I am not giving you a chance. You and your family can eat rocks. Now get lost before we call the police." Jake went home but kept sending texts and voicemails. They ranged from sobbing to screaming and threatening me with harm. He said, "Tina, please don't do this to me. You know how much I love you. Please come back. I didn't mean to insult you. Forgive me. Tina, stop being stupid. I'm tired of your expletive. If you get the divorce, I will take everything from you. Just wait and see." I stored all the recordings just in case I needed a restraining order. I was a mess, and my mom helped me a lot. Jake even tried to show up at my office as a ditch effort. Good thing I informed the security beforehand, so he was dragged out immediately. It was then that I decided I would quit my job. It paid well, but my business was booming, and I didn't need a job. I wasn't interested in becoming a millionaire. I simply wanted to have a peaceful life with dignity. So, I served my notice that day itself. A week after, Jake was served divorce papers at his work. He was delivered and showed up at my work again. Jake was then told that I had already quit. An ex-colleague of mine told me what happened. However, he didn't stop there. He kept sending flowers and gifts to Mom's address. We returned all those parcels. After another week, the harassment was so severe that I thought about relocating. I was going to buy a house anyway, so with the help of my mother, I found a good house in the next state. It was just perfect for me. I could live there away from my ex, and my mother could also easily reach me when she wants. I'm currently waiting for all my paperwork to be finalized. Since the prenuptial was solid, the judge granted the divorce fairly easily. We did go through 6 months of separation before the judge made the decision. However, I needed that time to get my stuff together. As soon as the divorce was finalized, I moved to my new home. I got a new number because Jake and his family were spamming my old one, from what I heard so far. Jake is a mess and is blaming his parents for ruining his marriage. Jake's professional life also took a hit. His colleagues didn't talk to him anymore, and his seniors are pissed at the bad publicity. It's a small community, so words travel fast. His parents are spreading rumors about me cheating on him. Thankfully, no one believed those lies. They have been telling people that I was a bad person. If these things escalated, I might think about suing for defamation. However, their words have only made them look bad in their community. I, on the other hand, am doing extremely well. I'm spending time bettering my business and finally getting to enjoy my life. I've even started going out and have been on a few dates. Jake did give me a lot of insecurity, so I'm careful about getting committed too fast. However, I am hopeful I will heal in the future and finally find someone who will cherish me.